Good day, viewers. You are welcome once again to Success Fashion Academy. Thanks for always being there. And for those of you that have not yet subscribed to our channel, please kindly click on the subscription button and also the notification button so that you can get updates whenever we post a new video. Today I'm going to be working on this project. I'm going to be making two types of corsets. The first one is the corset with bra cup, and the other one is corset without bra cup. So these are my tools that I'm going to be using. This is my hammer cuff, this is my neck cuff, this is my breast cuff, this is my ruler, and this is my scissors, and this is my marker and my tape rule. So let's get started. So I'm going to be working with this pattern paper for both. So I'm going to be cutting it in a singular form so that when you transfer it to your fabric, it can be doubled. So I'm starting with the first one, which is with bra cup, corset with bra cup. So this is my bra cup that I'm using. I'm using bra cup size 40. I'm using size 40. This is it. You always look at it. There is always a number in the bra cup when you are buying. So I'm going to be working with the measurements I'm going to be working with is bust 40, under bust 32, waistline 34, and shoulder of 8, and length to nipple. You need your length to nipple measurement. Length to nipple measure is 10 by, and the nipple radius is 8. That's the measurement I'm going to be working with now. So for the one that has bra cup, it's a very easy method for you and it's direct. So this middle here, I'm going to be coming in by half an inch. The reason why I'm coming by half an inch, you know, it's on fold. My pattern paper is on fold. When I open it up, it's turned to 1 inch. So, and I'll rule. So I will rule that half an inch down. So after ruling it, I'm going to be placing my bra cup at the edge of that place I rule, and you are going to be looking at it. It must correspond with your line here. You don't press the cup like this. Don't use your hand and press the cup. You have to let the cup to bounce up. Don't use your hand and press it. Let the cup raise up like this, because when you bend it, it destroys the shape. So this is it, and I'm setting it here. So the next thing is for me to rule it out. I'm ruling out the shape of the cup on the pattern paper. After that, I will not remove the cup. That is where I will insert my measurements. So wherever this cup lasts, the last leg here, that is where you are going to be putting your under bust. Note it, that is where you are going to be putting your under bust. So my under bust is 13. That means this is the under bust. So remember that whenever you put it, this is the under bust, and my half length is 17 inches plus joining, that's 18 inches. So I'm not removing the cup because I'm going to be measuring it together with the measurement. So this is the line. After then, I'm going to measure my bust. You can see I measure it with the cup. So the bust circumference is 40, and I'm starting from the edge here, not from the ruled line. I'm starting from the edge with the bra cup, that is 10 inches, and my seam allowance is 2 inches. So at the under bust here, I have 32 inches under bust. 32 inches divided by 4, that is 8. You can see I'm starting it from the edge here, 8, and at the under bust to the waistline we are going to put that. So plus that is 1 inch, that is 9, plus my seam allowance. So at the waistline here, that is 34. 34 divided by 4 is 8.5. 8.5 plus that 1, that is 9.5, and my seam allowance, let's use seam allowance of 1 inch because I'm going to be cutting the back together. So this is our measurement. So that is our measurement like that. I'm going to remove it and insert the dart measurement. And the dart is nipple to nipple is 8, that is 4, plus half to join it, that is 4.5. You can decide not to put your half here until when we transfer it. Let's transfer it to the fabric before we cut. So nipple to nipple is 4 inches, and you roll. So you are going to get your dart half an inch here, half an inch here, and roll it down here. So this is how to cut the front panel for the bra cup on. That is the bra cup that we are going to use to shape it out. So whenever you want to cut it like this, the reason why you are putting this center is because at the center of corset you have to leave a space so that you'll be able to join the cup to this side and to the other side. For some people, they come in by one. It depends on how you want the opening at the middle to be. So when I want to cut it now, I'm not going to cut directly on this line. I am going to come in by half an inch so that by the time I'm joining my cup, it will not be too big. So this is how I'm going to come in. So this is the side, and this is my bra cup side. So this is the dart. As you can see. So I'm going to cut the back panel. So the next thing for me is to cut the back panel now. So for the back panel, I'll be putting zipper allowance of 1.5, 1.5 to the down, and you rule. So the next thing, you look the length that was used here, that is 10. So my under bust is, waistline is 18. It's still on the same straight line. So the under bust length, so for the under bust length 13. So for the bust, I have bust 40, that is 10. We can put a straight dart at the back to the hub, so that is plus that 11. Seam allowance 1 inch. Remember we use 1 inch for the front. So at the under bust 32, that is 8. 8 plus that 1, that is 9. And our seam allowance 1 inch. At the waistline 34, that is 8.5. 8.5 plus that 1, that's 9.5, plus seam allowance 1. So we are going to connect all our lines. And mind you, if you know that you don't want to put all your seam allowance, you can either finish cutting the fabric before you put your seam allowance. So if you look at the front, I did not put armhole. The reason is because I'm going to do the cup first. So this one this is the back. I just came down by 2 inches. And at the back, you can either leave it straight like this, or you give it a shape. So I don't want it to be too down. The length is okay like that. So for some people that want a very lower back, you can just come down and shape it to whatever you want. But for this, I'm not going to shape it. I'm leaving it plain like this. So this is the back panel. So for the darts of the back, the nipple to nipple 4, and this dart is going to reach the hub, unlike the front one that stop at the under bust. And I'll cut. This is the side. And this is the dart. So if you decide to put the slants at the back, and this is the front, and this is where you are going to insert the bra cup, and this is the back panel. So this is the first one. This is the front. And this is the back. You can see I measure the front with the bra cup, because if we don't measure it together, it will not balance. You see it? I measure it with the bra cup. So this is for the corset with bra cup. So we are going to, so this is the second pattern. Now this, I'm going to be using my full measurement to draft it out. Your basic bodies, I have length 24 here. I'm going to be using everything finished. You can either do it as a basket or you do it as a half length. So the first thing, I'm going to be measuring my shoulder measurement, which is 8 plus half inch joining, that is 8.5. That's my shoulder measurement. So the neckline, I'm going to be using 3 by 3.5, and I'll connect with my neck cuff, and my shoulder slope of 1 inch. Come down by 1, and I slant it. The next thing is your armhole. My armhole is 8 inches, and my chest line is 6 inches. You can either use 6 or 6.5. For me, I'm going to be using 6.5 inches. So this is my armhole length. So the next thing is to get all my basic bodies. This is my chest line. Under bust length, that is 13. My waistline 16, 17, sorry, my waistline 17, and my full length I have 24 here. So I'm going to be ruling out all the lines. This is the waistline, this is the under bust, this is the chest line, and my nipple point line. My nipple point is 10. So I'm going to label it chest line, nipple, that is MP, under bust, that is UB, waistline, and full length, my full length. So the next thing is putting my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 8. I'm not going to add allowance to it now. When I'm cutting on my fabric, I'm going to add it. So that is 8 divided by 2, 4 inches, and you measure it to the chest line and connect them together. So at my under bust, I'm going to come in by 1 inch here and 1 inch here, and I'm going to be connecting it with my breast cuff to the nipple points, and the other side too. So I'm going to repeat the same. At my chest line, I can come up by 1 or 1.5. It all depends on the way you like your cleavage to show. But for me, I'm going to come up by 1 inch. So I'll come here by 1 inch here, 1 inch here, the same way I did at the down. And I'm going to connect it together. So this is my chest line extension. So here I'm going to come down by, from the chest line, I'm going to come down by 0.5 and in also by 0.5, that is half an inch, and I'm going to be connecting my sweetheart's neck from there, from here. So after connecting, I come down and shape it to my, come down and shape it into my under bust here. Sorry. So at my side here, we are always fuller at the side. So I'll come out by 1 inch. I'll come down from my armhole by 1 inch and come out by 1 inch also. Here is 4, so I'll make it 5 and connect to my armhole under bust. Sorry. So you connect to your armhole like this. This is my armhole. So the next thing, please don't mind this, it's supposed to cuff. I'm very familiar with freehand. I don't normally use cuff. So the next thing is for me to take this my darts downwards, 1 here, 1 here. At the down, half an inch is okay, and you connect. So This is my sweetheart neck here. You can decide to use any other neck. You can decide to leave it straight, but this is the sweetheart I'm going to be using. So the next thing is for me to put my body's measurement. So putting my body's measurement, my bust is 40, which is 10. My seam allowance 2 inches. So that means I'm going to be extending this armhole to this place. So after then, my under bust here, I have 2 inches that I'm going to be cutting away, so I have to replace it back. So my under bust is 8, that is 32, plus 8, that is 10 inches, and my 2 inches seam allowance. My waistline, I have 2 inches also, and it's 8.5. That means I'm going to be using 10.5. 8.5 plus 2 inches, 10.5, and 2 inches seam allowance. And the blouse hip, I'm using blouse hip 40, that is 10. And here I only have 1 inch that I'm cutting away, that is 11, plus seam allowance 2 inches. Please note that I did not put joining allowance, I'm just putting seam allowance. By the time I'm transferring it to my fabric, I will be adding half an inch all round for joining. So for the down here, you are going to come in by 2 or 3 inches, depending on whatever you like, but for me I'm going to be using 3 inches. I'm coming up by 3 inches, and I'm going to round it to my blouse hip. I want it to have a shape at the down, but if you are doing a basket waistline, you are going to round it to your waistline here. You are going to round it like this to your waistline. It won't stop at the blouse hip here. So this is my armhole, and if you want to use a yoke, this is your yoke measurement here for you. So once I've measured everything like this, we are going to cut it out. This is the yoke, and the yoke depends on any neck you want. If you want it a V-neck, or you want it a round neck, if you want it a V-neck, you are going to connect it to this place like this and cut. But this is a round neck if you want the yoke together. So I'm going to come in like this to cut. So the side, I'm going to cut the side. And the down. So this is my shoulder slope. You can actually still use it for your yoke. You can still use this piece. There is 2 types of neck on the yoke. It's either a round or a V, but I'm going to be making my own a V neck. So this is the front pattern, and I'm going to remove the corset. See the way I'm cutting it. And the front side. So you remove the darts. So this is our corset pattern without bra cup. So you have to label it so that you not make mistake. This is the front, this is number 1, and this is number 2. So This is it here before transferring it to our cup that you made by yourself. It is not by the time you place it into it. See how it's standing? So that's what I'll be transferring to my fabric. But my own yoke is a V-neck yoke. You can decide to do your own. You can use a net material, you can use a lace material, or you use the ankara that you use. So for the back panel, I need the seam zip allowance, that is 1.5. You can also add a looper at the back. If you don't want zip at the back, you can make it a looper, a trending looper at the back instead of zip. Correspond it with my front. So for the length here, I'm going to need my waistline and my underbust and here, because I want it, the three of them to correspond with each other. So that's what I need it for. This is the underbust, the waistline. I don't need my nipple point at the back, so that's why I don't bother to measure it. So shoulder is 8 plus half, 8.5. So depending on any neck you want to do at the back also, this is normal 3. If you want it lower, you can do it. If you want it higher, you can do it. Your chest line too at the back. So my shoulder slope at the back by 1 inch. So you come down to your armhole, we use 8 inches. So my bust circumference is 10, and my seam allowance, if you want to put it, that is not a problem. My underbust is 8 plus my seam allowance 2 inches. My waistline is 8.5 with my seam allowance 2 inches. There is no that there. It all depends on you whether you want to use that or not. So I connect the measurements together. So this is my armhole length. This is my armhole length. So at the middle of the armhole, you create an armhole cuff there. So at the down, you have to make sure it corresponds with each other. So this place, I'm making sure it corresponds with each other. So if you want to make the back also a V, and if you want the back to have a yoke also, you get the yoke of the front. We use depending on how you want the back to look. So any neck that you want, you can use it for the back. So this is the shoulder, the armhole, the bust. Please note, there is no that allowance at the back. It all depends on you, if you want or if you don't want. And also at the back, you can decide to use a zip or a looper. If you are using a looper, there will not be any seam zip allowance at the back. There will not be zip allowance here, and you are going to slant it in. Don't make the mistake, please. So this is it. I'm going to be transferring it. Let me remove it. I'll transfer it on my fabric for you to see. We did not put joining allowance, so when you are transferring it to your fabric, please put joining allowance of 1/2 inch. You can see it, 1/2 inch joining allowance. So this is the center front, and this is the side. So this is where I had my measurements. So this is it. For the front, this is how it's going to look, and you insert your bra cup inside. So thank you so much for watching. The next video will be, because this is a full corset and the down is going to be a mermaid down, I'm going to do everything for us so that you can understand it better. Thank you for watching. See you in our next video. And if this video has been helpful, kindly click on the like button and also share it to your post friends so that they can benefit from it. Thank you so much. See you in my next video.